Perfect.
Right, very good. So first of all, welcome everyone. And my name is Ted Fjellman. I'm the chair of the advisory board of Tekiu and an executive director of Tekiu. Cindy and I have been working together for quite some years, developing Tekiu as a company, and I've been part of the T-DEB program since the very beginning, and also part of designing the T-DEB program. One of the reasons I'm the chair of the advisory board for T-DEB is that I am also the CEO of a vaccine development company in the UK. We're developing several products with partners internationally, and in the past I have been on your side of this kind of program. So I have in fact taken part in a Newton Fund program to collaborate with a Mexican biopharma company to develop a vaccine together with them. So I've been on a journey just like you are about to. I went on a mission to Mexico back in 2016, and I met with several different Mexican companies. I then chose one company to work with, or really we chose each other, and we developed an R&D collaboration project that we then applied funding for. We received funding, and actually right now we're at the very end of that collaboration through the Newton Fund and Innovate UK. So I hope that today I can share with you a few tips and tricks on how to get the most out of a program like this from the perspective of being a CEO or a member of a management team of a young or innovative company. Whether you're small or large, I think the tips and tricks are quite similar. But this is all about how to get the most out of your initial stages of interaction with UK partners. So I believe, Cindy, you have already introduced yourself, and perhaps you mentioned while I had a technical difficulty that we will be joined by a special guest later on, Ayhan Bey from Biomod, who's a founder and CEO of a company who has already been on a trip to the UK as part of the healthcare cohort. So he came back in March. He will later on be able to share with you some of his tips and tricks from the specific Turkish perspective. So very many thanks to Ayhan, who will be joining us in some time. All right, the agenda for today is, of course, in your time frame, it's 10:30. Here in the UK, it's just after 7:30 in the morning. We will cover and give a bit of a reminder of what the T-DEB mandate is. I'll then go into firstly trying to understand who your audience is. So who are the people you're trying to reach, and how busy are they, and how are they going to perceive your emails and your contacts. Then I will go into a little bit how one can productively research companies, and this is really learning about what how the UK companies, how you can find out about the UK companies both online and through other ways to find out better how to interact with them. We'll explain about the two-pronged approach to find UK partners, and then I'll give you a particular example of an introductory email template that you can use, which the Tekiu team, Cindy, Daria, and others can help you with if you want to modify it, but which we think, and in the basis of a previous cohort, has worked very well. And then finally, we'll talk about the preparations after initial contact, because of course your work doesn't finish after you've received an initial contact from the company. In fact, that's really when the most work starts. And we'll end with a question and answer session, which Ayhan Bey will join as well. So how do you productively research UK companies to make the best out of your R&D partnership is one of the main things. How to prepare effective partnering material is the second thing. And how to reach out to and successfully make contact with UK companies is the third. So these three things I hope you get away with at the end of this webinar. And all of these are based, as I said, on my experience with a company called Procarium, which went on a Newton Fund trip to Mexico. So a little bit of a reminder of the project flow of the T-DEB project. So of course most of you I think took part in the needs assessment workshops, which happened in April to September last year in Izmir, Istanbul, and Ankara. And now we're of course in stage 2. So in this phase The UK Discovery Tips, we have had 1 out of 3. So you're part of the Digital Economy and Smart Cities cohort. The healthcare cohort and life science cohort has already come in March, and the environmental technologies cohort is coming in a few weeks. So you'll be the last of 3, but that doesn't mean that you're any less important. In fact, I think you're privileged because we have learned a lot from the early cohorts, so that we're really perfecting the program for you. So I think you'll get a lot out of this. The third stage, of course, is the capacity development stage, and that will happen September to October this year. And this is really it's a partnership accelerator in the broad sense. What it means is we're going to help you and your partners together as a partnership to get the most out of that. And that will be quite a bespoke approach, and I can talk a little bit more about that later in the Q&A if you wish. And finally, the fourth stage, of course, is the showcasing or the demo days, as some of you would call it. This will happen in March 2020, so next year, and we're really building up to bring financiers to this event so that they can see the nascent partnerships, the work that you have done together with your partner, the project that you want to pursue, and maybe already have started on and maybe already have some money for, but it's an opportunity to get more financing, both from institutional financiers like venture capitals or also institutions like the Wellcome Trust or Innovate UK and so on. All right, a quick reminder as part of this of reminding about T-DEB is that it's really important. The mandate of T-DEB is all about R&D collaboration. So I think Cindy has tried to drive this message home a lot, but you really do need to find an R&D collaboration. So again, coming to the UK and just setting up a new sales channel is not part of the mandate of the Newton Fund. You really do need to develop some new product or service together with a partner, and that is what an R&D collaboration is. Once you have a partner, they will also come to Turkey in September, October 2019. Then together you'll join this partnership accelerator, as I've just mentioned in the previous slide. Only when you and your partner have decided that you'll collaborate on something, that's when we will initiate discussions about bringing financiers to the final showcase. You'll find out also that Cindy and the team have a list of various grant opportunities that you can apply for beforehand. Some of the companies in the life science cohort are already busy applying for those grants together with their partners. So actually you don't have to wait until March 2020. You can already start to apply together with your partners if they are willing and want to move quickly. And last but not least, if you don't identify a UK partner, you cannot proceed to stage 3. So this program, as you know, is a competitive program. You are all here because you are some of the best companies that applied for this program. So already you have been brought down from 500 companies to 45 companies. So, but that is also continuing throughout. So we need to show to Innovate UK that we're finding the best of UK and Turkish companies. And that means that if for whatever reason you're extremely busy at the moment with other things in Turkey and you do not have the time that it is required to find a partner in the UK, of course, that is understandable, but unfortunately that means you won't be able to carry on to stage 3. So it is important that you work with the Tekiu team to understand how you can best find a UK partner, but most importantly, that you work yourself to identify UK companies that you want to partner with. So before carrying on now, are there any questions up until this point? It is possible that some of you are muted. If you're asking questions, write them into the chat if you wish, or unmute yourself and ask any questions. But it sounds like there aren't any questions at this point, so I will move on. All right, so a graphical overview of the steps towards a successful UK trip. So first of all, you have to identify your partnering objectives, and you have already done this. So this is something that needed to be done 6 months before, and the Tekiu teams work with you to create your online profile, which is part of the T-DEB website. So there you have identified what you want to partner on. So thank you very much for the hard work, both from yourselves and the Tekiu team for that. The second stage is really where we are at now. You need to research UK companies. You need to find out who out there might be interesting for you to meet. And I think many of you have created long lists or at least some sizable lists of companies that you'd like to meet and have provided them to the Tekiu team. So once again, that's good. If you haven't, or if you feel like you're finding more, you don't have to stop. You can carry on with stage 2 right up until probably 3 weeks or so before the trip. But really, at this point in time, you should have quite a good list of companies in the UK that you want to meet. And to be clear here, these can be not just for-profit companies. They could, of course, be universities or not-for-profit organizations that have some technology or know-how that is useful to your R&D collaboration. So it is not absolutely necessary that they are companies, although the majority and the main mandate of T-DEB is that these are company-company collaborations. But we will make exceptions and allow you for sure to collaborate with universities and not-for-profit organizations if that's the best thing for your development of your product or service. And the third phase is to make first contact to explore those synergies. And that's what this webinar is for, is to help you to start that. And that's why it's 53 days before right now, before you are arriving in the UK. So that's why that number is there. You need to send a first contact email using a provided email template. As I said, you will be able to modify that, and we will go through that template in the following slides. So just bear with me on that one. But the important thing is that you send a lot of emails, and we will, in the Tekiu team, follow up. And there is a reason for why we want you to make the first contact and for us to follow up. And again, I will explain that in detail in the following slides. The fourth stage is, of course, the following up to book a face-to-face meeting. So you may get some answers to all the emails that you send, and those will then require you to do some more in-depth research on the company that has responded to you. There is a process for that, and you need to set up face-to-face meetings during the time that you're on the trip in the UK. So Cindy, hopefully by this time, has explained to you that the trip is set up is a combination of meetings for you to understand the UK ecosystem and meetings for partnering, and the majority of the time is spent partnering. So we will have spaces available for you to meet with your UK companies, and you will be able to write to the UK companies when you get a response saying there are different time slots during the time that you're here in London and maybe in Birmingham and other places where you can invite them to come to a particular address and spend half an hour or an hour with them to discuss your interests and move forward. And if there is any very interesting potential collaborative effort or company that you want to meet, you can talk to Cindy and the team about a special meeting with them, perhaps at their premises if it makes sense. Just a heads up, based on the previous cohorts or the previous cohort that's already been here, those who set up meetings that were within the frame of where we were, so London and mostly, they got the most out of the trip, while those who spent a lot of time traveling on the train to a very particular location somewhere, they wasted a lot of time traveling, and they said afterwards that they would have preferred to invite the UK companies to come to them so that they were able to meet with more companies rather than just one single one. So be aware that you have to be very sure that the company that you want to meet, if you're going to travel all the way to, say, Sheffield or even further afield, if you want to meet someone like in cities like that, you want to be sure that that's going to be a very useful meeting, because you will waste time on the train or even in taxis and so on. All right, are there any questions up till this point? Cindy, do you have any in the chat?
No questions thus far.
Okay, great. So now let's move on to who is your audience. So let us understand who the people, the senior managers in the UK companies are. And we have to remember that they are very, very busy. They get flooded with emails from both inside and outside of the UK. And this is the same for you, I'm sure. But the difference in the UK is that, you know, UK is an English-speaking country. They get requests from people all over the world in English all the time, sometimes in broken English. Maybe they'll have people from India or South America emailing them saying, look, I'd like to do or sell some services and so on. So it is important to know that UK companies particularly, and the senior managers of those companies, do view international requests with some skepticism. They will, especially if they are not well written, just ignore those emails. So it is important to reference something familiar. So in this case, it's Innovate UK or the Newton Fund. Both Innovate UK and the Newton Fund are known by most companies in the UK. Because Innovate UK is like to-be-tac, but it is very well known as a helping agency for companies. And the Newton Fund, even if people don't know what the Newton Fund is exactly, the name is a familiar one because, of course, Newton is a very famous figure, and they understand that it is something UK oriented. So you will see later on that in the email template that we want you to use, we're making reference to that so that people very clearly see, this is something to do with the UK and the Turkish government together creating a program, and that will lower the hurdle for you and your email to be read. What is important though is that you have to remember that you can optimize this process, but you have to expect that only some of your requests will be answered. So don't lose patience or lose faith in the process. You will get answers. Just to give you an idea from the previous cohort, people would send about 20, but those 20 emails, they were all very specifically researched. So they were all relevant companies. If you send 20 emails to just a general spray and pray, as we call it in the UK, then you will not get a lot of responses. But if you research those, and it's not because they're not interested in you as a Turkish company, it's just because people are busy, something falls between the cracks, and they just don't see it. So just expect that you'll maybe get a hit rate of between 1/4 or 1/5 of all the work that you do. So that's why you have to do 4 or 5 times more work than what you might expect for as an outcome. That's just the reality that we find ourselves in. Okay, UK executives are also not used to English speakers, so to non-English speakers, of course, and they can be quite prejudiced toward people that are not fluent. And there's a simple reason for that, and that's because UK English speakers are lazy. They have most of them never learned a second language properly. So they maybe have taken some French in school, but they've forgotten it many years ago. And the UK and France, they are not the best of they make a lot of jokes about each other and so on, but the UK really is spoiled and not used to what it takes to learn another language. So they are prejudiced for people who make mistakes. So do please make use of Cindy and the team's help with correcting any modifications or changes you want to make to your email template. And if you, for example, develop a PowerPoint slide deck about your company, you can also send that to Cindy and the team to have a look at, and they can correct any mistakes that are in there or help you even to improve it. Even if there are no mistakes, sometimes there's better language that can be used. So I'm sure some of you are very fluent in English, but there's always some improvements that can be made. So please make use of that. The British people pride themselves in both politeness and proper English language, so that's something that they like very much. So it is important that you polish and reread any communications that you want to send. And I will talk in the next couple of slides a little bit about the etiquette of how you send the introductory emails. Okay, the third point I want to make about the audience is that the UK executives know very little about Turkey. So, for example, if you're making reference to some company that is very known and large in Turkey, let's take an example. Let's take Arçelik, for example. They will have no idea what that company is, even though it's huge. And obviously they know about the brand Beko, for example, but they wouldn't know Arçelik. So and in an example of the healthcare cohort, there were some there who had worked with some really major hospitals in Turkey, and they just used the name of those hospitals as saying, look, we have partnered with this hospital. And anyone in Turkey would know that that's a major achievement, but that means absolutely zero in the UK. They just do not know much about Turkey, and that's really, again, a terrible thing, because Turkey is a major economy in Europe, and we really should know more about it. But it's unfortunately the reality that most UK senior managers just do not know. And what they do know is unfortunately just what they hear in the mass media. So they just don't know. They just know about the currency issue, for example. So unfortunately, in some cases, you will be facing an uphill battle, but that's what we're here for. We have created a T-DEB website where we explain that Turkey's economy is fundamentally strong and has been growing for many years, and it's a big market, and there are many innovative companies and good universities there, and we're explaining that. So as long as you make reference in the email template to the T-DEB website, where they see that this is a UK Turkish government supported program, so this is Innovate UK and Newton Fund is a bilateral program, and then they see some figures about why Turkey is a good country to collaborate with, and then in addition to that, you have some very crisp information about your interactions internationally. So if you make specific reference to any previous international interactions or any very clear successes you've had, that will be really important to gain their attention. For example, if you have done something with some German company or some Italian company or someone in the Middle East, that will be really useful, actually, because they can see that you're a serious player that have worked with other companies internationally. All right, I want to move towards the following steps. This is just a reminder of the 4 steps towards a successful UK trip. So the second step I want to delve into a little bit now is the research on the UK companies. But before I do so, are there any questions on the previous sections?
No questions. Just Emre shared a good app called Grammarly that is very good for spell check as well and grammar check.
Oh, excellent. Okay, very good. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, Grammarly is definitely a good application to use, and use that first, improve it, and then if you still have questions, and I would say you should always double check your final communications, at least the early ones, the introductory ones, with Cindy and the team, because there are also some sector-specific nomenclature or sector-specific words that are slightly different between different countries, and I'm not sure Grammarly will pick all of that up. Okay, so how to research UK companies. So first of all, you have to set realistic goals for yourself. Now I know we have a mixture of small and large companies in the T-DEB project, but it is important because many of you are probably not so large. You may be just a handful of people working in your company, or maybe a dozen or so. And that means that you probably do not have all the lawyers and project managers and so on to deal with a very large collaboration with a large company. So we have to set our goals realistically, and you have to ask yourself, can your organization handle a collaboration with a very large company? The second point is, how many of the rights to your technology are you willing to share? I should change the slide deck here and not say give away. Of course, we don't give away anything ever. It's all about a win-win situation. But the point is, you have to think about what kind of deal might you be willing to make at the end of an R&D collaboration like this, because even though you'll just be starting an R&D collaboration to develop a product or service, you probably will be entering into some sort of collaboration agreement, and in that collaboration agreement, the other party and yourself will want to know what happens and what kind of rights you might have to what you develop at the end of it. So does that mean you might develop some intellectual property? In that case, who will own that? Will you divide that ownership according to on a regional basis or on a thematic basis? Might you be working with a manufacturer that then has rights to use some of what you have developed in other sectors, but you have exclusive rights within your sector, and so on? So you have to think a little bit about that beforehand, because those will be key questions, not in the very first interaction, but in very quickly in the second or third interaction that you have with UK companies. They will ask. So again, I will give you an example that there was a company in the healthcare cohort which got quite a lot of interest, and they were a very early stage company called Accents, and they had developed a sort of diagnostic device, and there were several other players in the UK that thought this device was interesting, and frankly they got quite overwhelmed with requests for how to collaborate, and they were not ready, did not know, and were a bit afraid of giving away their technology. So you don't want to end up in that situation, because your other partner might lose interest if you're waiting too long to get back to them. So it will be good at this point in time if you already think about what kinds of collaborations and sharing of technology or innovations that you're willing to enter into. And finally, the third point is think a little bit about who you would like to be the driving force in the future collaboration. There is no reason why you can't set up two collaborations as well. So if you, for example, find several companies, maybe you just don't have the bandwidth to be the company that's driving it, especially if you're a small company and the other one is a large company. Maybe you would like the large company to be in charge. Maybe you want a project manager who's managing the project on their side, and you become a partner. There is no need for you to be the driving force, but there's also nothing holding you back from being it. I'm just saying that you need to think about how much extra time and resources does your company have to drive the process forward, and maybe it's worthwhile to think about offering your partners or future partners in the UK the ability to drive the process, and maybe you'll get more out of it, especially if you're thinking of applying for a lot of funds for R&D collaboration in the UK versus applying for a lot of funds from, for example, TÜBİTAK. Then it might be worthwhile to have the UK partner be in charge of at least the application process, and therefore giving them the project manager role with some sort of committee within it to manage the and have representatives from both parties. Again, it's also possible for you to make a three-way collaboration. I'm not suggesting that you do that as a first idea, but if it turns out that you do need three components from three different organizations to make a product or service work, that's also possible, and it's fine to do within T-DEB and the Newton Fund. Okay, last but not least, only spend time researching companies that are a very good fit for you. There is a limited amount of time. We're 53 days to go now. That time will go much quicker than you realize. So find the companies, go into depth on them, contact them as soon as possible, because it's really, once you get a first positive reply, that's when the research continues and should increase. So in the beginning, you'll be just sending an email with a very simple introductory, this is the T-DEB project. We're a selected company within it, and we work within this field, and we've noticed that you also work within this field, and we'd like to meet with you. Are you available on the 10th to 12th of June when we're in London? That's basically the gist of your first email. But then if they respond to you right after that, there will be they will want to get more information about your company very quickly. They'll want to have a slide deck and so on. So in order to make that slide deck bespoke to that company, to the UK company, you're going to want to research them, and you're going to want to ask questions of them, because remember that asking questions of the UK company is probably the best way to show that you have a real interest in that you're serious about a collaboration. Just selling your own company that almost anyone can do that, but asking good questions of the UK company that you're trying to meet, that is showing that you have true interest and that you've done your homework. Okay, again, how to productively research UK companies also comes down to the research that you do. And we suggest that you do it in two ways. Research online material, of course, that goes without saying. If you ask an insightful question based on that online research, then that shows that you care about the UK's partners' work. So it's just basic human psychology. When somebody asks insightful questions of what it is that you're doing, then you know that they are interested in you, and that is really a big reason for why a UK company will continue to interact with you. And the second point is, I would say you should actually research specific people and even find videos. There's so much material about them online. You can find out about the people themselves, and especially once you know that you're going to meet them during the trip, do find out about the specific person, maybe even some of their interests. In the end, this is all about people. Because we have a long distance between the UK and Turkey, and I speak from experience because as for my company, when I was doing the collaboration with Mexico, and still am right at the end of it, it was all about building a personal relationship with those people, because then you can just send a quick question on WhatsApp and you can actually build trust. But if you keep it too professional as an organization as a whole, then it's difficult. You really do need a champion on the other side, and in order to have a champion, you need to build that personal relationship. So there's never too early to find out about the specific people you are meeting and who they are and what their interests are. That will really help you once you meet them. Okay, this is just a quick example of from Ayhan Bey from Biomod, who did his research, and this is of course his online company profile. You'll recognize the kind of Google Doc that Cindy and the team have been using, and you yourself. So what Ayhan did is he created a list of companies in the UK and organizations in the UK he wanted to meet. But you notice at the bottom half there that not only did he just give the name of the company, he actually gave a contact person's name or several people, what their title was, managing director and business development manager, their email address, and even the phone number, and of course the URL. And this is really important because if you want Tekiu to help you to contact these organizations and to follow up, we need that information. So please spend some time to find individuals within the organizations, not only the organizations themselves, if you haven't already done so. Okay, any questions up until this point before I move to section 3 and making the first contact?
No, we don't have any questions in the chat, but from previous, the two previous cohorts, questions that we often receive are, for example, aren't you going to research companies, UK companies for us? That's a typical question that we get. Why should we research UK companies? We thought that you would research companies and find UK companies for us.
Yeah, that's a good question, and probably on the minds of several people. Maybe you're too shy to ask the question, but there is a reason for that. So obviously you know your own business the best. You've been through a process of where we have selected you. We do know something about your business, but if we went out to all of the UK companies that you have identified, or if we even try to identify companies ourselves, we are very likely going to find you slightly wrong companies. And I know that from my own experience when I've been on missions, international missions that have been organized by embassies and by sort of government trade delegation type missions. And often what happens is you meet interesting people and it's fun and it's interesting, but it's not specific enough to your true needs. I mean, it is impossible for someone, even if they spend a whole week to learn about your company, to really know what it is that you want to do with your company. What specific manufacturing needs do you have? What specific coding needs do you have? What specific regulatory needs do you have? What is your corporate development plan, and what are you willing to share and not willing to share? This all lives within your computers and probably mostly within your heads, actually. So if you imagine you hiring a new person, how long it takes for that new person to really truly understand what your company is about. Put yourself in the same shoes and think, how can Tekiu, or for that matter anybody in the Newton Fund, learn about the 45 companies that we have, enough detail to really pick the best companies. So instead of doing that, which I think would have a bad outcome, and based on experience it does not yield good delegation visits, we think it's really important that you as a company first identify the UK partners that you want to meet with, and then we do our best to explain to them why you are a selected company. So I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but we will talk about in this next section about the fact that you will send the initial email and then we will follow up 3 to 5 days later. And one of the problems that companies from one part of the world to another have is that there are unfortunately a lot of people out there that are not serious and are just sending lots of emails, right? So if you are seen as someone who's chasing the other company, then you're seen as less serious. But if you send the first email and then Tekiu follows up 3 to 5 days later saying, oh, I saw that you've been contacted by such and such company. They are part of the selected program that's UK government funded and as part of the Newton Fund. If there is anything we can do to help to support this, do let us know. We noticed that you are active in this and this space, and there, just to let you know that this Turkish company has the support of us here. We're based in London. We're happy to tell you more. And that creates a much more of a feeling, oh wow, this is actually a company that's serious, and I should have taken that initial email seriously. So you will actually get a better response that way. While if we send the first email, then we don't have the opportunity to follow up. If Tekiu sends the first email and then you follow up 3 to 5 days later, then again that looks like it's chasing. Then it looks like as if you have this government agency / company, Tekiu, that's helping you to try and find partners, and then you're following up. It doesn't look as professional. So I hope that makes sense. And I know that was a question from other cohorts, but maybe by this time you have been so clear, Cindy, in your other communications that this cohort is aware of that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's move on to the two-pronged approach to finding partners. So Tekiu staff have been contacting trade associations for outreach. So here are some examples of trade associations within energy management, smart cities technology, and smart transport. On the following slides, I'll show you some more. But just if you click on these links, you will of course be given this presentation by Cindy after this webinar. It will be sent out to everyone in the program within your cohort. And then you will get to some sort of directory under those trade associations. So trade associations are essentially membership organizations for companies and organizations active within a particular space. Those trade associations, usually their mandate are twofold. One is to have a common forum where companies can join and discuss their tips and tricks and problems together as a community. And the second one is for them to collectively get all of those ideas together and lobby the government to improve, for example, the company environment, whether that is infrastructure, taxation, regulation, and so on. So these trade associations are excellent bodies for finding serious companies. And they usually make their directories available online because they're all about connecting people within these specific communities. So go on to these directories and find companies within the directories that might be interesting to you, and then add to the list that you already have. On the next slide, I'm just showing you that we also have trade associations within geospatial and within travel. So I know some of the companies listening here are probably within this space. And if you feel like you're not represented within these categories. I think there might be one more even here, fintech and general smart cities and digital economy. If you feel like you're not represented within any of these categories, then just let Cindy and Daria at the Tekiu team know, and they will try and find specific trade association. Sometimes there may not be a formal trade association, but there may be a cluster organization of some sort. Usually within your field, smart cities, fintech, and digital economy, there is a lot. In fact, your cohort has a lot more trade associations than any of the others that we have. So I think it should be not difficult for you to find companies, because there are quite a lot of them in the UK. Okay, the second part of the two-pronged approach. So the first part was, of course, just go through those directories and find companies and then send emails. The second point is, with your company profiles live and the first outreach done, you should send that email, right? So looking for the companies and then sending the email. You have to, I think I've told all of this already, so I'm going to skip to the next slide actually. So to remember about UK people, it's better to be too formal than too informal. UK people love to be polite. I think that's a general joke around the world, but it's really true that the British are extremely polite. I can tell you several jokes about that, but I'll leave that until we meet in person, I hope. But it's important to address people with Mr. or Miss, or if they have a doctor title, with doctor, and of course their last name. It's important to introduce your company in brief and the reasons for your contacting them. And be courteous and allow enough time for them to reply. So sending an email and then sending another email the next day is not considered to be polite in the UK. Wait an absolute minimum of 3 days, but actually 1 week is a good amount of time. That's not considered rude if you follow up on an email that was sent the previous week. But it is, if you just do it in 1 or 2 days, that's considered a bit rude, a bit too salesy, if you wish. But as I said, we will actually follow up. So if you refer and copy us on your emails, so if you copy Cindy at Tekiu.com or Daria at Tekiu.com, all of this information will be available to you, of course. Then they can monitor your interactions, and then they will follow up in the right amount of time after you send an email to say to the other company that you have the support of us. And this is extremely important. I cannot emphasize this enough. In your first email, it is much, much better to be brief than too lengthy. All you want to do is whet their appetite. And actually, the longer your email is, the more desperate you look, because you actually want to make the UK company realize that this is an opportunity for them as well. So you're just saying who you are, what program you're part of, the reason why you're contacting this company, because you've read something interesting, something specific to them, so they realize this is not a mass email, it's a specific email. You need to get to the point in the first 2 to 3 sentences, and then it's important to just provide one single link. And that's why we have spent so much time to develop your profiles on the T-DEB website, because that's very simple for them to see. They see the pictures of the 3 people involved. So they see there's a team, there's real people behind it. They see the collaboration objectives, the partnering objectives, and they can also get a link from there to your actual URL. So even though it's tempting to put, maybe attach a brochure or put your own URL or some URL of a particular project, I really suggest to you not to do that, to do that in a second stage when somebody has responded to you. Okay, and important to remember, this is the second slide about UK people, is that UK collaboration means certain things. So it really means that both parties will share the gains of a project. So if any party is simply being paid for what they're doing, that is considered a subcontract. Okay, so the R&D collaboration is really, collaboration means working together, co-laboring, right? Collaboration. So each party is bringing something to the table, and 2 + 2 = 5. It's that kind of situation. If you're just buying services of someone else, then that's a subcontract, and that's not really a proper collaboration, and anyway wouldn't really be seen as a a good thing within the T-DEB project either. Both you and the UK company should feel that there is a win-win situation here. Otherwise, that's not also considered a true collaboration. And what I mean by that is, I understand that a lot of times it feels like it's a negotiation, and this is part of the fourth bullet. But actually, in the UK, when you start an R&D collaboration, that's usually a very good way to build trust between people. And the worst thing you can do is to start to haggle or negotiate about specific things very early. So you have to be just very clear about the fact what you are and what you're not willing to do in your collaboration. But to negotiate, saying that I have won or there's a winner or a loser, that's not going to get you very far in a UK collaboration. The UK companies, they really want to see this as a win-win situation. So the key point here, both parties should be very happy when the other party is succeeding. So any one person succeeding in any way is a positive thing for the other party. That must be remembered. If you feel like you're being exploited, or you feel like you're able to exploit the other party, then I think it's better to just stop, because honestly, you won't get very far. Okay, now let's get into the actual details of the email. So never say, dear sir or madam. That's too non-specific. And you definitely don't want to say first names like hi Steve or dear Steve. I literally sometimes get emails saying, dear Ted, from someone I'd have never known, and then it says, oh, we have never spoken, but, and I just I just delete that email immediately. You have to start with something specific. Dear Mr. such and such, or dear Dr. such and such, dear Miss so and so. I read with interest your article on the development of new payment methods for banking solutions on the New York Times or the Guardian's website. Wow. Okay. In the first sentence, I realized that this person actually knows something specific about me. That is really powerful if you can do that. That, of course, requires you to have done a little bit of research on that company. And then in the second sentence, you need to introduce your company. And important not to introduce yourself. Don't say, I am such and such, and I have a master's degree in such and such, but actually say, we are a company. And I think all of you do this already. It's just some very few people are still, especially if they are coming out of an academic spin-out, are used to introducing themselves as a person, but it's much more important to introduce your company and what your company does. And then very quickly go into the fact that you're visiting the UK. And on the next slide, I'll show you the actual template. Last, you finish with a sentence about more information, and that's when you'll copy the tdebproject.com's link to your specific company, because they can always go from that to the general tdebproject.com website. But if the link is directly to your company, I think that's the best way to finish your email. Okay, so on this next slide, slide 25, you can see an example of the introductory email. So dear Dr. Mr. and Mrs. Wallace, or Miss Wallace, if you don't know if someone is married or not, you just use MS. And then you said, I have read with interest your company's recent news about your R&D award for your fintech product, AutoPerson. Terrible name, but that's just something I made up. Our company, and then of course your name, is also developing banking solutions, and we are visiting the UK on the 10th to 12th of June under the auspice of the UK Turkey Newton Fund program. Okay, now you use a word such as auspice. That's something probably a lot of non-English speakers wouldn't use, but it's a nice term, and you're mentioning the Newton Fund program immediately. They see that this is a UK Turkey Newton Fund program, so this is, you have been selected in some way. And then you're immediately asking, would you or one of your colleagues be available for a brief phone call? This way, that you are also, if I receive an email and I see this is an email that's very interesting, but I notice that you are coming exactly when I'm on holiday, then if you say, are you or one of your colleagues available, then you've basically taken away my right to just say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't meet because it's on my holiday time. And I know you may say if they're interested enough, they should think of that anyway, but actually it's nice in an email to sort of say you're interested in the company as a whole, even though you are also interested in that person. You are addressing them directly, but you would be willing to meet with one of their colleagues if necessary. The reason that's important to put in is because the person may think this is interesting to the company, but I wonder why they emailed me. Maybe you got it slightly wrong. Maybe this is not exactly the right person to email. This way, you're kind of forgiven, and they will just pass you on to the right person within the organization. And then you start a new paragraph where you ask them to follow a link to read more about you, and then of course mention that they can also contact Dr. Cindy Regalado or Ms. Daria Atlas, and that who are based in London, and then they see that you actually have support here on the UK side that will help them further. And then, as I said, Cindy and the team will then follow up at least 3 days, maybe a week later, with an email to them saying, such and such has contacted you. If you'd like any more information, we're here to help. Okay, I'm going to leave this slide up because usually there are a lot of questions here. So anybody have any questions?
We have no questions in the chat, but we do get questions frequently asked. And one of these is, I can't find the email addresses of the UK companies that I would like to reach. What should I do? And a follow-up question to that is often, can I reach to UK companies via their info@ or their contact@ or their hello@ email addresses? So just to answer this, we do have a tips section in the frequently asked questions link that we will send you after the webinar. There are several ways that you can find email addresses. In the directories that we shared in the previous slides, you will not see email addresses because it's against GDPR. But there are several tricks that we have used and that we will share with you, at least 5 or 6 ways that you can find. The second question, info addresses or hello addresses, you should not send email addresses to those. Try an alternative person, or if you have searched and still cannot find an email address, then let us know so that we can find an alternative route and work with you to try and reach that company.
Yeah, and I should add to that, Cindy, that's good that you remind of the tips and tricks section there. Obviously LinkedIn is a place where you can find specific people, and then what we can do is, if you still can't find the email, then what we'll do is actually phone the company's main desk and ask whom something like this should be addressed to. And that is again one of the situations where it's very useful for us to phone, because as Tekiu we can then say we're a supplier to Innovate UK, and that Turkish company has shown interest in your company. They would like to send some more information to a particular person, perhaps within this or that department. Whom should we address that to? And then we will find out. Again, all of this unfortunately takes a little bit of time, so it's important for you to research all of the companies now as soon as possible if you haven't already, and identify those companies that you could not find specific email addresses to, and tell the Tekiu team ASAP. But first spend a little bit of time yourself on LinkedIn to find the right people. If you find the right people but you're not connected to them, again, send that link to us at Tekiu. There's very likely that someone within our network is connected to them, and we can ask for a specific introduction even via LinkedIn. So that's often a very good way to make a first contact as well.
Another question that we sometimes get is, can I just contact everyone via LinkedIn? And what we usually say is that you can try and reach them through LinkedIn, but then it is very hard for us to do a follow-up email with that company or to keep track of, in order to help you on your way to reaching those companies through a follow-up.
And that's a good point. So LinkedIn should be your second choice, and it should, as soon as you have gotten contact with somebody on LinkedIn, you should ask them, shall we move this conversation onto email? Which email should I send it to? That's something you should ask quite quickly. If you did get contact with someone through LinkedIn, you should do that. The simple reason for that is very soon people will want to copy others in, that you're going to want to send slide decks over and so forth. And I know it's possible to do that through various social media channels, but email really still is the most formal way to send it. And as I mentioned before, the UK is all about formality and politeness, so they want to be able to copy their colleagues and so on, and I think email is best. All right, moving a little bit ahead, we're 1 hour into the webinar now. I do apologize, I think I said 10:30, we started 9:30, I think it's 10:30 now, isn't it? So what material should you have ready if the UK company wants more information? And it's simple, you need to have a slide deck, or an alternatively, you need to have a flyer that covers what you normally would put in a slide deck. It's more difficult to make a flyer with all of the information, because a flyer usually should be about 2 pages, and I think it's very difficult to get all the information into that. So my first suggestion would be for you to create a slide deck in English, if you haven't already got one in English, and certainly circulate that to Cindy and the team at Tekiu to have a look at the spelling and also the general layout and what should be in there. From our experience with the healthcare cohort, some companies had slide decks that were really oriented towards investors, and that's a good start, but not really the right type of slide deck. This slide deck needs to be about your team's capabilities and about the technology and the product you're trying to develop. And then there should be a slide about what you would like to get out of the collaboration with the specific company. So, and the 3 sub-bullets I have here is show data supporting your innovation, simple to understand graphics, show any achievements of your company, that's kind of goes hand in hand with a team and resource slide. And then add a slide where you say, you know, whatever your company's name is interested in collaborating with you, and then specific UK company's name, on the following topics, or you could say we have identified the following topics as potentially mutual interests, and then you have a question below it that says, does this are any of the above of interest to your company? And that way they see that you have made a slide deck specifically for them, and I think they'll see that as a very positive sign of a future collaboration. Okay, your research and preparation doesn't stop at just sending a specific slide deck, and also not the potential mutual interests as I've just explained. You have to go into more depth on the UK company and do more research to identify any of the technologies or know-how that they have that could be of use to you, the specific technologies that you have that could fit with their work, and any mutual product orientations that you could discuss for a joint R&D project. And this, of course, is difficult to do online. So an important aspect is to actually ask them questions. That is, again, as I said in the beginning, a hallmark of an interested party that asks good, insightful questions of the other party or the other company. That is a good start for a good relationship. So you need to ask them what technologies or know-how they would be willing to share, what specific technologies there were, mutual product orientations that they would be willing to work on. And I think that's, in order to ask those questions, you obviously need to know what you yourself want to share and work on. Okay, I think that's everything. Cindy, this is the end of the slide deck soon, but the next steps will be that Tekiu will continue outreach campaign with the trade associations and others. If you have not completed your list of contacts in your Google Doc company profile, then you should do so. Don't wait to upload them all in one go, just upload some of them if you have them ready already. And use the email template to start sending some emails. I mentioned before that you have to send about 20 emails to get 4 to 5 good meetings set up. The sooner you do this, the sooner we can help you to follow up. And I've mentioned already that we will follow up 3 to 5 days after being copied on your email. So it's important that you do copy Daria@tekiu.com or Cindy@tekiu.com. But I think Daria is really collating all of this for the Tekiu team. So if we can keep it consistent to Daria@tekiu.com, that will be most useful. And then, of course, just a reminder that you're 53 days before now. So this is when you're making first contact, and it's roughly 22 days before, so a little over 3 weeks before, that you will be trying to set up face-to-face meetings. The simple thing is that people's calendars will fill up. They will not. They may want to meet with you, but they just don't have the time because they've already set other meetings. So it's unlikely you're going to get a lot of meetings, or if you do, it's very lucky if you wait until the last week or the last couple of days before you are actually arriving in the UK. So make sure that you, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, are sending lots of emails and you get some responses out of that, and then you set up the face-to-face meetings. Cindy and the team will give you specific locations and time slots for when you can set up meetings, but you also don't have to wait for that. Just tell them in general that the 10th to the 12th of June is when you're coming to the UK, and you meet anytime there. At least you get a time in there. If you then want to move things around a little bit later, you might have the chance to do so in 3 weeks' time. But for now, just try to get something in the diary as soon as possible into the calendar. Okay, so is Ayhan on the line?
Yeah. Hi, Ted.
Yes. Hello, Ayhan. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell the others a little bit about the impacts? Maybe you want to say it both either in English or in Turkish, whichever you wish.
Hello, Ayhan.
Yeah.
Very nice to have you again.
Hi, Cindy. Nice to hear you again. So let me introduce myself first. I'm one of the companies in the healthcare cohort. We have attended the Discover trip in March, which was the healthcare cohort trip in UK, and I can share some of my insights about the visits and the importance of the synergies that you have to set up for the companies that are potential for collaborations. And I had some strategies that were successful and of course unsuccessful at the same time, so I can share my experience, but of course that can change based on your area for smart cities and fintech, but maybe that can be have some benefit for your ideas and for your strategies.
Ayhan,
So
if you
what
can feel free to share in Turkish if it'll make the it's very quiet on the other side, so maybe it'll get people more keen to
Yeah,
ask
there were no
questions.
questions, so that was shocking. I was expecting some questions, and so based on your comments, I can continue in Turkish. Whatever the group, maybe you can have some comments in the chat, and we can continue in Turkish if you like. But I would be more comfortable if you also hear the comments, because I can be saying something that's not 100% true, so you can also be commenting on my comments, whatever you like.
Well, Daria and Ekin are in the line, so just Turkish is good. It's up to you. So I hear that people are okay with English.
Okay, let me go in Turkish then. Merhaba, herhangi bir soru olmadı, onun için hani ne üzerinde odaklı konuşmam gerekiyor bilmiyorum, ama biraz genel isterseniz bahsedeyim. Onun üzerinde bir soru olursa tekrar o soru odağında devam edebiliriz. Burada birliktelik kurmak istediğiniz firmalarla ilgili mail trafiğiyle aslında süreç başladı bizim için. Burada en büyük sorulardan bir tanesi, kaç tane firmayla mailleşmem lazım ki orada İngiltere'ye geldiğimde işte en azından bir 4-5 tane firmayla bir araya geleyim. Benim buradaki deneyimim şöyle oldu. Biz 18 firmayla mailleştik. 18 firma üzerinden 4 firmayla orada konuşabildik. 4 firma bu arada orada geçirdiğiniz süre için yani mantıklı bir sayı. Yani bu 4 değil de 10 olsaydı büyük ihtimalle onlarla birlikte verimli bir toplantı geçirmekte zorlanırdık. Hatta aynı gün içerisinde 2-3 firmanın olduğu bir yerde diğerlerini bekletmiş gibi de olduk. Yani dolayısıyla 4 ila 5 bence yani mantıklı bir sayı. Orada tahminimce yine 4 gün geçirilecek değil mi Derya? 4 günlük bir plan yapılıyor. Dolayısıyla çok sıkışık bir schedule oluyor zaten. Yani bir kısmı sizin ayarladığınız firmalarla görüşmeleriniz geçiyor. Bir kısmı Tekiu'nun organize ettiği eventlere katılmakla geçiyor. Bazı networking eventleri var. Aynı zamanda işte Turkish Trade Center'a, Embassy'ye ziyaretler var. Orada da gerçekten yani ciddi böyle karar verici insanlarla konuşma şansı buluyorsunuz. Dolayısıyla oradaki ziyaret bayağı sıkışık ama aynı zamanda da iyi organize edilmiş bir zamanlama içerisinde yürüyor. Burada sizin bulduğunuz şirketlerle konuşacağınız 2-3 şey oluyor. Yani bizim ziyaretimizde o şekildeydi. Yarım günlük şeklinde bunlar organize ediliyor. Şimdi bu saydığım çeşitteki işte networking'di, vizitlerdi, eventlerdi, sizin bulduğunuz şirketlerle görüşmelerdi gibi ben 4 kategoriye ayırabiliyorum oradaki ziyaretin içerisinde yaptığınız görüşmeleri. Bunun kendi organize ettiğiniz şirketlerle olanı işte bu collaboration'ı kurmak için aslında en büyük şansınız olan oluyor. Yani benim tecrübe ettiğim öyleydi. Çünkü daha önce konuşma şansınız olan, ondan sonra tekrar işte bir görüşme organize ettiğiniz, onun üzerine belki birkaç paylaşım yaptığınız firmalar oluyor bunlar ve oraya geldiğinde zaten kafalarında bir şey oluyor. Sizin de kafanızda bir şey oluyor. Karşılıklı onu netleştirdiğinizde oradan gerçekten verimli bir çıktıyla ilerlemek daha büyük şans oluyor. Ama bununla beraber bu networking eventlerinde de gerçekten çok birlikte işler yapabileceğiniz ve karar verme yetisinde olan kişiler davet ediliyor. Oraya da bence çok büyük önem vermeniz lazım. Hatta oraya katılanların sizin de hep paylaşır o size vereceği schedule'da. O isimleri de önceden araştırıp bir strateji olursa zaten görüşme zamanları çok kısa olduğu için orada bir çıktıyla dönmek bence daha mantıklı oluyor. Öbür türlü tabii konuşuyorsunuz, devam edelim konuşmaya diyorsunuz ama onun sonrasında çok verimli bir şekilde ilerleyemeyebiliyor. Yani sonuç cümlesiyle beraber oradan ayrılmak için ön araştırmak bence daha verimli hale getiriyor. Yani dolayısıyla bu şu anda başlayacağınız süreçteki mailleşmeye yani ben ciddiye almanızı öneririm oradan çünkü çok verimli şeyler çıkabiliyor. Bu mailleşme sırasında da benim TED de vurguladı ama 3 tane vurgulayacağım şey var. Yani sıradan bir şirketin bir mail atmasından farklı olması ve ondan sonraki ilişkinin daha kolay ilerleyebilmesi için bunu söylüyorum. Birincisi sizin firmalar arasından seçilmiş olduğunuzu mail içerisinde belirtmeniz ya da organize ettiğiniz görüşme içerisinde belirtmeniz bir farklılık yaratıyor. Benim gözlemim bu oldu. Bunun dışında ikincisi Innovate UK'in bu fonu desteklediği, bu projeyi desteklediğini belirtmeniz. Innovate UK çünkü biliniyor. Oradaki TÜBİTAK gibi olduğu için Innovate UK deyince bir duruyorlar. Bunu belirtmeniz karşı tarafta şunu uyandırıyor. Bunu doğrudan da vurgulayabilirsiniz. Innovate UK bizim bir birliktelik kurmamız durumunda bizim başvuracağımız desteklerde bizi daha öne çıkaracak ya da biz zaten desteklendiğimiz için daha privileged olacağız bu desteklerde, bu fon başvurularında gibi bir izlenim de yaratıyor. Bir taraftan da programın iki taraf için de çekici olmasını sağlayan bir Türkiye bir de İngiltere ayağının olması. Yani konuşacağınız kişi İngiltere'de de biz bu kolaborasyonu bir avantaja dönüştürebiliriz hissettiği zaman yine daha ılımlı yaklaşıyor. Yani bizim zaten Türkiye'de yaptığımız bir iş var. Bunun bazı yerlerde satışa dönüştürdük. Dolayısıyla sizi de Türkiye'de bir bundle oluşturup burada bir sales channel sunabiliriz tarafı da olduğu için bu örnek veriyorum. Tabii sizin için aynı durum olmayabilir. Başka karşılıkları olabilir. Bu da üçüncü çekici gelen tarafı. Bunları kullandığınızda o bariyeri aşmanız, yani nereden çıktı bunları aşmanız kolay oluyor ve gerçekten ne yapabiliriz konuşmaya daha açıklıkla, daha samimi bir şekilde devam ediyorsunuz. Benim maillerden sonraki ayarladığımız konuşmalarda elde edindiğim bir deneyim de Tekiu'nun da bu görüşmelerde olması sizi güçlendiren bir taraf oluyor. Yani benim deneyimim o yönde oldu. Ben Cindy'yi de davet ettim görüşmelere ve ilk başta Cindy mesela anlattı. Yani T-DEB şöyle bir şey, Innovate UK bunu destekliyor, onun sonunda fonlanıyor bu. Beraber birlikteliğiniz aynı zamanda işte sonrasında bir showcase ile investorlara açılıyor gibi. Bu ön bilgiyi verdikten sonra sözü size bıraktığınızda sizin durumunuz biraz daha farklı oluyor. İşte biz de T-DEB olarak 500 firma içerisinden bu 15 firmayı seçtik ve şu kişi de bunlardan bir tanesi dediğinde size 15 kişiden biri olarak konuşmaya devam ediyorsunuz. Bunu ben tavsiye ederim. O konuşmaya biraz daha farklı başlamanızı sağlıyor. Hani gizli bilgiler varsa da de olabilir. Hani Cindy bu tanıtımı yaptıktan sonra görüşmeden de çıkabilir. Hani buna da çünkü bir öneri olarak sunmuştu. Bunu da değerlendirebilirsiniz. Bu görüşmeyi güçlendiren bir şey oluyor. Sizin sorularınız varsa onlar üzerinden de devam edebiliriz. Benim aklıma gelenler şu anda.
Merhabalar, ben Şafak Baykal, Ayhan Bey.
Merhaba.
Sesim geliyor mu?
Evet, duyuyorum sizi.
Tamam. Ya şimdi bu şeylerden bahsettiniz, teşekkürler. Şimdi ben öncelikle sormak istiyorum. Bu firmalara muhakkak bir dedicated bir proje fikriyle mi gitmeliyiz, yoksa bir potential collaboration gibilerden gireceğiz galiba, değil mi? Yani hedef direkt onların kafasındaki fikri bulmaya mı çalışalım, yoksa birazcık da onlarla birlikte bir şey yaparız ederiz, siz de şu konuda çalışıyorsunuz, biz de böyle bir konuda çalışıyoruz gibi bir yaklaşım bana daha doğru geliyor, ama bu sefer de çok belki çok genel geçer bir şeyler söylemiş olacağız. Birebir atıyorum
Evet.
şöyle bir proje var, şu bölgesinde efendime söyleyeyim böyle bir ihtiyaç var gibi, yani böyle proje ortaya mı çıkarmamızı beklerler? Sizce nasıl olabilir böyle bir durum?
Ya, bana soracak olursanız, yani benim o mailler sırasında hissettiğim, yani ne kadar spesifik olursanız, yani karşı tarafın da ilgisini çekebileceğiniz olasılık o kadar artıyor. Fakat bu şu demek değil tabii, sizin işinize yaramayacak bir şeyi sırf onları çekmek için söylemeniz durumunda zaten bu size yaramıyor. Yani hem size yarayan, gerçekten potansiyel bir birliktelik olan, hem de onlar için çekici olabileceğini düşündüğünüz olabildiğince spesifik şey. Yani herhalde böyle tanımlamak lazım. Yani size yaramadığı durumda bir anlamı yok. Çok genel olduğu ve onları çekemediği durumda etkisi yok. Dolayısıyla hem onlara yarayacak kadar spesifik, dolayısıyla bu demek, yani onların ne yaptığını iyi araştırdığınız ve onların var olan bir eksikliğini gördünüz. Sizin de onlarla beraber kolaborasyon yaptığınızda beraber daha yüksek bir değer oluşturacağınızı düşündüğünüz, size de yarar sağlayacağına inandığınız bir noktada tutmanızı ben öneririm. Yani öbür türlü dediğim gibi size yaramayacaksa zaten anlamı yok. Birincisi size yaraması lazım. İkincisi onların da ilgisini çekmesi lazım bence. Ama spesifik olmakta fayda var. Yani eğer olgunlaşmış, hatta biraz da satışa dönüşmüş bir ürününüz varsa mesela, ondan da işte müşterilerinizden bahsetmekte de fayda var. Yani orada sizin ne kadar olgun, ileri seviyede olduğunuzu hissederlerse bence o kadar çekici olur. Öbür türlü yani biz de işte bir R&D ile uğraşıyoruz, bir şeyler yapabilir miyiz gibi biraz yani spesifik olmayan şeyler olduğunda çok çekici olmayabilir diye düşünüyorum. Tabii bunu siz süzgecinden geçirin. Yani Smart Cities ve Fintech'te bunlar nasıl yürüyor? Tabii o alanda benim bir know-how'ım yok. Yani onu siz kendi süzgecinizden geçirin bu söylediklerimi.
Tamam, teşekkürler. Bu
Ayhan Bey, Alparslan Sabacı ben. Ben de bir şey sormak isterdim ama.
Buyurun Alparslan Bey.
Şehir Teknolojileri firmasındanım ben de. Şimdi sizin internet sitenize de bakıyorum. biomod.com.tr, doğru mu bakıyorum?
Doğru.
Şimdi aslında herkesin kafasındaki de belki benzer. Şimdi win-win arıyoruz. Ben aslında sizin özelinizde, sizin uygun göreceğiniz tecrübelerinizi bizimle paylaşmanızı isterim. Bu özellikle 4 tane görüşmeye ikna ettiğiniz firmalarla ilgili. Onlar sizin tarafta ne fayda buldular kendileri için? Siz kendiniz için ne fayda buldunuz? Ben hani sizin ürünlerinize bakıyorum. Çok güzel ürünleriniz var. Bitmiş, satılmış, çalışan güzel ürünler var. İşte burada katılımcı arkadaşların arasında da ürünleri olanlar var. Bence en güzel fayda böyle olabilir. Hani sizin bize söylemekte sakınca görmeyeceğiniz.
Tabii. Olur. Ben kendi özelimde anlatayım isterseniz. Ondan sonra siz de kendinize göre yorumlayabilirsiniz tabii. Bunu o anlamda faydalı olabilir dediğiniz gibi.
Hem onlar sizden fayda gördüler. Evet. O önemli. Hem de siz onlardan ne fayda gördünüz.
Evet. Şimdi bizim ürünümüz Pingbit isminde bir ürünle biz oraya gittik. Bizim ürünlerimizden bir tanesi, yani satışa dönüştürebildiğimiz ürünlerden bir tanesiydi. Bu uzaktan hasta takibinde kullandığımız bir akıllı bileklik cihazı ve onun web platformu, mobil uygulaması. Özellikle Alzheimer, Parkinson, demans takibinde kullandığımız, işte konum, hareket takibi yaptığımız, düşmeleri, acil durumları algıladığımız, tremor, diskinezi hareketlerini algıladığımız ve günlük paterndeki değişiklikleri hasta yakınına sunabildiğimiz, özetle yani hasta ve hasta yakını arasındaki bağlantıyı kurup hastanın gün içerisinde neler yaptığını olabildiğince detaylı verebildiğimiz bir cihaz. Telefon bağımsız bir cihaz bu. Burada bizim elde etmek istediğimiz şey şuydu. Bizim NFC ve Bluetooth bağlantısıyla aslında çevresel cihazlarla konuşma imkanımız var. Dolayısıyla biz hem böyle bir firma bulalım ki bizim Pingbit cihazımızla bağlantı kurabilelim, böyle bir entegrasyon yapabilelim. Ya da aynı şekilde R&D birliktelikleri yaparak bir daha yüksek katma değerli bir ürün ortaya çıkarabilelim ki hem İngiltere'de hem Türkiye'de rekabet gücünü arttırarak bunu satışa dönüştürebilelim diye yola çıktık. Aslında stratejimiz buydu. Daha çok da aradığımız firmalarda işte home care alanında ya teknoloji geliştiren ya hizmet veren firmalar bulmaya çalıştık. Zaten o hazırladığımız dokümanda da birkaç tane vardı, sınıf vardı. Yani biz direkt demedik. Home care'de teknoloji geliştiren firmalar olsun demedik. Birkaç olasılığımız vardı. Birincisi STK'lar, sosyal toplum kuruluşları, işte Alzheimer Derneği, Demans Derneği, Parkinson'la ilgili dernekler. Mesela bunlarla bir kolaborasyon kurabiliriz dedik. Healthcare Service Provider'larla bir birliktelik olabilir dedik. Yani servisi sunan, hali hazırda başka teknolojileri kullanan ama hizmet kalitelerini arttırmak isteyen bir sınıf vardı. Üçüncü sınıf işte bu teknoloji geliştiren ve teknolojilerini birleştirmek ya da bundle halinde sunmak isteyenler vardı. Bir de marketplace'ler ve hub'lar vardı. Yani kendi marketplace'lerini oluşturmuş, belirli partnership'ler oluşturmuş platformlar ya da firmaları bir inovasyon hub'ı şeklinde bir araya toplamış. Onlarla birlikte hareket eden bir üyelik sistemi oluşturmuş hub'lar vardı. Mesela bu hub'lardan bir tanesi bizim için çok avantajlı oldu. UK and Turkish Healthcare diye bir hub'la ben iletişime geçtim. Bu şöyle bir açılım yarattı bizde. Bu hub hem T-DEB projesinin içerisinde bir network bağlantısı kurmakla ilgili bir çekici şey elde etti. Hem fonlara ulaşımla ilgili bir avantaj elde etmekle ilgili bir kendisinde artı gördü. Hem de kendi hub'ındaki healthcare firmalarıyla bizim cohort'taki tüm firmaların bağlantılarını paylaşarak bir artı buldu. Yani bu hem bizim artımız oldu, hem cohort'taki diğer healthcare cohort'undaki firmalar için bir şey oldu. Hatta bir iki firma bu hub'la iletişime geçti. Hem de biz tek bağlantıyla altlarındaki bütün firmaları inceleme, onlarla bir bağlantı kurma imkanımız oldu. Yani dolayısıyla bu tip hub'larla iletişime geçmek bir taş sonrasında işte artçıl bağlantılar şeklinde artı sağlayabiliyor. Hatta networking eventlerin bir tanesinde o hub'ın yöneticisi de bir şey yaptı, konuşma yaptı. Yani her açıdan bir win-win şeyi oldu. Başka bir firma kendi ürettiği takip cihazları artı Çin'den getirdiği takip cihazları olan bir şey vardı, firma vardı. Onunla teknoloji üreten firma kategorisinde görüştük. Onunla da mesela bir hem bundle oluşturma üzerinde bir birliktelik gördük, hem de Çin'den getirdiği çözümleri bizim sunmamız, onların yazılım tarafını sunması ve bu şekilde bir funda, grant'e başvurmak, sonrasında da bu ürünü showcase'e taşımak gibi bir yol çizdik. Burada hala mesela haberleşiyoruz bu arada. Yani bir kesinleşmiş şey olarak söylemiyorum bunları. Böyle bir yol çizdik. Başka bir konuştuğumuz firma da Stroke Association'dı. Bunların da yani bir hem R&D departmanları var, hem de organize ettiği eventler var. Bu eventlere doktorları davet ediyorlar, karar vericileri davet ediyorlar. Orada da şöyle bir yol çizdik mesela. Bizi o eventlerin bir tanesine çağırmaları, bizim cihazımızı orada tanıtmamız, ondan sonra oradan bir pilotlama çalışmasına gitmemiz ve pilotlama çalışmasıyla beraber de onların R&D ekibiyle yine Innovate UK fonlarına başvurmamız gibi bir yol çizdik. Hatta onlara bir Tekiu'nun paylaştığı bir liste oldu. Size de büyük ihtimalle paylaşacaklardır. Innovate UK'in başvurabileceğiniz fonları şeklinde. Bize anlamlı gelen bir tanesini onlarla paylaştık. Şu anda işte beraber o fona başvurmak gibi bir şeyi değerlendiriyoruz. Yani biz başvuralım dedik, onlar approve etme fazında. Yani dolayısıyla o showcase'e gidene kadar da bu fonlara başvurma, orada bir pilotlama çalışmaların deneme gibi imkanlar yaratmaya çalışıyoruz. Bu diğer taraf açısından hem fonlara aksesi kolaylaştıran bir şey oluyor. Innovate UK tarafından desteklenen bir partnerle gitmek. Hem onların oradaki business'lerini güçlendirici, onlara değer katıcı bir şey oluyor. Hem de eğer bir servis sunuyorlarsa o servis daha kaliteli hale getiren bir şey oluyor. Mesela bizim açımızdan İngiltere'de home care çok bizden, Türkiye'den çok daha önce başlamış ve oturmuş. Yani servis provider'larıyla, oradaki teknoloji provider'larıyla hepsiyle oturmuş ve bir taraftan da eski moda kalmış. Yani 15 yıldır falan orada işleyen bir sistem var. Fakat onun domine etmesi dolayısıyla inovasyondan uzak kalmış. Dolayısıyla oradaki oyunu değiştirebilecek güçlü bir giriş herkes için avantaj şeklinde gözüküyor. Bizim bu konuştuğumuz hub'ın üyeleri de zaten bu bakışla tamam bir bundle oluşturursak burada güçlü bir giriş yapabiliriz yaklaşımında olduğu için bu kolaborasyona sıcak baktı hep.
Thank you very much, Ayhan, for sharing. I've been getting slight short translation as well on some of the questions that you've had. We are just available over email. Any additional questions you might have for us. I know that for the previous cohort, environmental technologies, Ayhan Bey was kind enough to share his email address with everyone. And Ayhan, thank you so much for doing that. Maybe you're willing to offer that for this cohort as well. Any additional questions,
I'm just writing
outreach? Excellent. Thank you so much. One last thing, a couple of housekeeping things that I'd like to share with you before we close as well. Also, I think there's one thing that Ted might want to add as well regarding one of your questions, which is why would UK companies want to collaborate with us? But before we do that, Ekin has asked me also to remind some of you regarding visa. If some of you are still pending to send Ekin some information in order to complete your visa application, please do so. Again, anyone who has specific questions, if you want to discuss specific strategy for outreach, if there's still questions, you don't necessarily know where to start or how to go ahead, please do get in touch with me directly. Ted, a few words about why would UK companies want to collaborate with Turkish companies?
Yeah, sure, and thank you, Cindy, and also thank you, Ayhan Bey, for the insights. So there's a changing environment in the UK. As you know, we have wasted a lot of time over the last 2 years or more debating Brexit, and there seems to be no end to that. I'm not going to talk about Brexit in detail now, that would take too long. But the point is that a lot of companies are fed up, organizations are fed up with the not knowing what will be the relationship with our European friends and European neighbors. So they are spending their other international efforts more on countries that they do know what kind of relationship the UK currently has. So that is with the US, China, and other emerging economies like Brazil, Turkey, and others, so in India. So generally speaking, the UK companies are always open to international collaborations. UK has always been an internationally oriented company. As you know, it used to, of course, have a big empire back in the day, which people which has changed people, because that means that the UK itself has a lot of immigrants from many different parts of the world. London is a city where only 48% of the London population have a British passport. So this is a very multicultural society where people are open to international exchanges. But there is a real economic need for exports. There's a real economic need for collaborations and bringing in new technologies and also exporting technologies to new markets. So UK companies want to find interesting and innovative companies in other parts of the world. They want to access those markets. They want to bring technologies into the UK. So they are very happy to meet with anyone that has a specific interest and specific knowledge that's useful to their company. And in light of Brexit, that's even more interesting than it was, say, 3 years ago. So I think Turkey is certainly a country that people are interested in. Some of them have been there on holiday, and they know that it's a big country with a population that's equal almost to Germany. So it's very interesting country for people. It's just that they don't know that much yet. Some of them won't know, but as long as you have a specific reason to contact them, as I'm sure Ayhan also mentioned, and your profile is clean and clear on the T-DEB website, and then I think you have a good chance, as long as you do the work and send out enough emails, you will get those 4 to 5 responses, and that will yield 3 or 4 really good face-to-face meetings that then yield at least 1 collaboration in the end. So I think with that, I'll stop and hope that you will be as successful as the other cohorts that we've had so far. I'm sure you will be if you put in the work and work and let Cindy and the team and Daria and Ekin help you. I'm sure this will be a success. Thank you very much.
So with this, we'll close the webinar unless there's any one last burning question that you think will be beneficial for all of your cohort colleagues to hear. Any final questions? No, very quiet on that side. But as I said before, if there are any questions, anything, we're just an email away. Let us know. I will send the presentation, we'll upload the video so you can rewatch some parts of it if you want to remind yourself of some of these tips and advice that was given today. And you will also receive an email template or a Word document with email templates that you can use. Again, I remind you, if you would like us to read the first draft of your email, please do send it to us. It has helped in the previous groups. We're very happy to give you help and advice. That's what we're here for, to make this a success story. So with this said, thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day, and we hope to speak with you soon and move forward with this